Greetings, this is Stasia Bliss. I wanted to talk today about what happens during a Kundalini awakening. So this is going on worldwide right now. And what that means is there's been an influx of, if you want to call it cosmic energy. Even the Earth's Schumann resonance has been going up progressively, all from what used to be about 7 hertz all the way up into the 150 hertz at a high point at the spring equinox. So what's happening is there's an increase of vibration, there's an increase of frequency, and it does affect our human bodies. It affects our DNA, it affects our consciousness, and it increases our vibratory rate, right? So just like colors on a spectrum, as the vibration gets faster, the color changes, right? You see differently. And on a color scheme, it's red all the way up to violets, right? And so forth, and ultraviolet. And we are also increasing our vibratory rate, and therefore our life force energy is like enlivening us, if you want to say. It's like a circuitry that has been turned down to low voltage that is now gradually, and even sometimes a lot, being turned up on us. So we suddenly have all this extra current running, electromagnetic current running in our body. It's increasing, and the step down from our consciousness is through our psychic centers. So we have chakras that are the step down valves for consciousness to express in the physical body. And from our chakra points, 7 main ones and many, many others in the body, that energy goes to our nervous system, to the nerve plexuses, like in the thoracic and solar plexus and so forth, nerve plexuses, nerve bundles, from that into our endocrine glands and into our body as hormones and different sensations, emotions, and so forth. So as more of that increases, our valves are being opened, okay? And that's what this Kundalini awakening is. Like suddenly we get this like new rush of energy, consciousness, information, and if you don't know, or you haven't prepared yourself, or you know, like you haven't studied that, you haven't really done a lot of yoga or meditation, or maybe you have, but still there's areas where that valve didn't quite open, or when it opened, all this old debris from, you know, your lifetime and maybe your ancestry comes to the surface. That's really what's happening. So the Kundalini awakening could feel like a hot and cold sensation in your body. You know, you might relate it to hot flashes and think that's what's going on. You might feel pressure in your tailbone or in your low back, or actually any area along your spine where there is sort of a stopped flow. The stopped flow is going to be like where you're more constricted in your consciousness. You know, your lower 2 chakras are root and pelvis, and if you've got some, you know, constriction around money or feelings of home and safety or personal satisfaction, then when that energy is trying to move more fluidly in that area, you could feel pain there. You could also be experiencing like continuous patterning or bubbling up, or what seems like repeating patterns around money, around lack of money, around home changes, around sexuality, around ancestry or patterns in family. That can all be part of the initial, you know, constriction. And that's really all it is the chakras open, and they're trying to do it at a way that's not too shocking to us, because it is our consciousness that's directing it. We're just not totally aware of that all the time. So this is why it's really a good idea to work on third eye development, which can be as simple as just gazing to your third eye, or candle gazing, like gazing at the, you know, thick, solid part of the light above a candle wick, and gazing at the after image. That helps to open the third eye. Meditation, where you have your awareness there. Those are just simple things that can help. And why open the third eye? And that's the reasoning is so that when these different constrictions are being felt and you are experiencing a flow or a constriction and flow of this energy, the third eye helps you maintain the witness observer attitude. Okay, sorry, my phone just went through a little funny thing. So opening the third eye helps us maintain a witness observer attitude so that when old things are being cleared or when those valves are opening, we can observe them and we can actually know that's what's happening, and then consciously direct our energy up our spine, out the top of our head, in through the base tube torus or a donut shape. This is the flow of energy in us and in the earth when it's unimpeded and when it's, open and flowing. So when it's not, we might feel it a block somewhere. And maybe that means we feel a super concentrated amount of energy in our sexual organs or in our heart or in our throat. Sometimes you feel like, oh, my throat is really blocked. I feel a choking feeling. Or maybe you feel like, oh, way wide open in your third eye. So maybe, one thing to do is go back to that tube torus breathing to help regulate and spread out the rate at which your Kundalini is flowing. So a Kundalini awakening, what happens is that you are experiencing a raise in vibration, a raise in consciousness, an expansion, if you don't like the word raise. It's an expansion. You're becoming aware of more. And you're becoming aware of more in different sectors of reality, which the chakras are sort of like governing different sectors of thought or sectors of reality, if you will. So your third chakra at the solar plexus is your power center. You can even think it as your own inner sun, where you're holding and storing your perspective on consciousness, your feeling of empowerment within it. So as the energy is flowing through there, if you feel a stuckness there or if there's a constriction there, maybe you have digestive stuff coming up for you. Maybe there's low back stuff coming up or mid back. Maybe you're feeling disempowered in specific areas of your life as the energy is trying to move and open it up, and yet you're wanting to be empowered. So you're feeling like the move energy wanting to shift your reality, wanting you to experience more or a wider sense, expanded sense of power and access to power. Your heart, if there's a constriction there, you might have some areas in self-love. And I think this is when we all get to work. It's meant to be this wide open field where we connect heart to heart. And I believe that's maybe the ultimate goal of the expansion of consciousness on planet Earth right now, is to bring us into a unity field where we can truly experience what it feels like to love each other and to love ourselves. If you didn't catch the last video I did, how to break free out of painful patterns, I would recommend watching that, because speaking of, if you're noticing a pattern, and Earth's been in a pattern, of kind of like this oscillation between like good and bad and right and wrong and sin and saving or savior kind of complex, or scene or play or game that we've been in. And as we bring in an influx of cosmic energy, we get to raise the bar on what the game is. We get to play a different game, and I believe we're being moved into a unity field where instead of a duality matrix, we're moving into a unity matrix where, maybe not even a matrix, but an experience of love. So on the way there, because eventually these valves of chakras, valves dissolve into oneness also. They dissolve into one field, because we are just one field of consciousness, a fluid field. But in order to experience humanness and to kind of like attach our consciousness to a form, which is what we've done, we've kind of like snapped in, right? We put our hand in the glove. We're like, okay, now we're consciousness in a body. And we're going to see how we can really embody as much consciousness as we can. So we're going to keep like opening the valve and seeing how much this vehicle can hold. So sometimes people feel like they can't hold it and they don't stay in their body. And that's where some of the deaths are coming from, is, and probably all of them actually, like not being able to hold the consciousness that's coming in that body anymore. Because it's a continued effort of expansion by consciousness. Consciousness, like how much more can we fit in there? So the Kundalini awakening really just means more awareness is coming in and trying to embody. More consciousness is seeping into your form and wanting to make home there. Explore how it feels to be even more expanded, to see more, be more, feel more, use more gifts, become more integrated. And it's a funny word, the word more, because there's not really more or less in the cosmos. It's just a perspective thing. So if our perspective has been like this, then the Kundalini energy is just doing like this. It's like just widening our focus or our perspective to see what we can see, right? And to take all these experiences we've had and sort of like take them to the next level. Experience what happens when they grow up, when those experiences of money mature, when our experiences of relationship mature and grow up, when our experience of self-love, when that matures, what does it look like? When that sprouts and grows into a tree, what does that look like? I believe the mantras that are associated with each of the chakras that are called bija mantras or seed mantras is because we've just barely seeded consciousness in those areas in the last few thousand years. And we've been playing with what the seed of an experience offers us. Like, what is the seed consciousness about being home or feeling grounded or earthed or belonging? And then now, when Kundalini comes in more, what does it feel like when that seed sprouts? When that level of consciousness grows and is more of its potential? Then we also become more of our potential. And this is a beautiful expanding of consciousness. Where it becomes maybe not as fun is when we resist that opening and we cling to our old ways and we don't want changes that are being inspired from within. Whenever we push against that and resist, that's where the friction is of, if you imagine this, you turn up the electricity and your cord is supposed to take in, maybe it's built to take in more, but what if it decided to not? What if it was like, I'm going to not take in that much voltage up here on like outlet number 2, then that outlet might blow up because too much voltage is coming in, it's not going to handle it, right? So if we resist, or we close ourselves down in areas and we really cling to specific beliefs that we are outgrowing, the reality is outgrowing. We're outgrowing the need to judge each other wrongly, I believe. I believe that's part of this. We're outgrowing the need to put others down to make us feel good. We're outgrowing dysfunction and we're maturing, just like a child who throws fits when they're young and then learns how to be mature in relationship. There is like the teenage process that some of us joke about that doesn't happen to every teenager, but to some, where it's like almost like this kicking and screaming to let go of being a child and to turn into an adult, which many of us adults are like, I feel like a child. But in the Kundalini awakening process, we're also being asked to mature our consciousness. So where our bodies may have matured already, that's also just one level. It's one layer. We have other layers to mature. We get to mature our emotional body. I actually think that's one of the first things Kundalini really hits upon, is what emotions do you have tied to each of these old experiences of reality? Are you really like tied to the emotions around what you feel about money? Like, is that a sealed deal? You want to keep that relationship forever that you have with money? Or are you ready to grow that and mature that and expand that? And that goes for every layer of us, every part of our consciousness. So we get to mature our throat chakra awareness. We get to change the way we communicate with each other and do it in a more heart loving, heart-inspired way as the Kundalini is accessing. The point is to access all of the chakras, right? To bring all of the abilities from all of the chakra points or all of these valves together so that we have a grounded, right, at the root sense of satisfaction and connection to our unique self. And we feel empowered by that. We love that about ourselves. We're able to love that about others, and we're able to communicate from that place and speak words that communicate to others in that place, inspiring them to come into that place with insight and awareness from our higher consciousness, the next level that we're being called into. Our king, queen self crowned in sovereignty, continuing to know that this is a never-ending journey of consciousness that we just keep evolving. So Kundalini energy is the evolutionary force of our consciousness in our physical body. And the most important thing I can say to leave you with on this video, so we don't go super long, is that we have classified as mental illness in the world, in our cultures, I want to suggest is not that. It's simply the mismanagement, mislabeling, and misunderstanding of the evolution of our consciousness. That is what's going on. And that is what needs assistance. Not to, drug down and stress and, put in little rooms and keep away from the rest of society this energy and this awareness. Someone said to me, a shaman walked into a mental institution and saw no sick people, but only those struggling with their spiritual awakening, their spiritual vision. So let us also know that the process that we're all in collectively right now, don't believe anyone is not in this process to one degree or another, because the earth is being showered with it. It is vibrating at it. It is us. So to notice how you're experiencing that, what symptoms you might have, if you want to call them that. Are they physical? And instead of running to the doctor to find something's wrong with you, look at what your body is trying to say to you. Where is this energy stuck and not moving? Where does it need to be more? Where does awareness need to go in your body so that this energy can evenly flow? And again, keeping in mind the tube torus flow up the spine, and then this outward flow before it flows back in. It's also like showering everything in your body. Your whole body is being saturated with this cosmic energy, with awareness. And then also to notice what emotions arise. And if we just think logically about it, are these emotions we're having, is that because we're going through massive transformation? And isn't that okay if we feel a little combobulated, like a little bit distorted, or maybe sad, or maybe like attached to the old reality? Isn't that okay? We feel a little depressed about where we've been now that we know where we're going, or now that we're aware of something bigger. Isn't that sort of normal and okay to feel all that? Like, allow ourselves to feel all that, because we are doing amazing things with this growth thing we're doing. And I don't really believe there's a way to be stagnant. There's either resistance or there is opening to it. Yeah, so I have a comment saying I've been through the mental illness aspect of things. And again, I just want to encourage a reframe that these different emotions, it's not an illness. The only illness is our perspective on it, I believe. These are normal human emotions that just have not been accepted by society. We have not known what to do with them. We have not understood the process of awakening and what that entails biologically. And that it's normal to feel anxious or depressed about that, or down and unable to get up. Like if someone really told you when you were down, like go all the way down, touch the bottom, go through the pit. You will come out the other side. If you don't take your life, just feel it, be it, And you know, if it's been going on much of your life, I'm feeling you. And I'm also going to suggest that you have great treasures to bring forth from your traversing those underworld planes of existence. That there is not a reason for traversing the depths. That is truly, to most of us in reality, to many in reality, that's unknown territory. That's places people don't want to trod. And when you are one of the pioneers of the unknown and of the dark spaces and of the depths, you have acquired wisdoms others have not. And you will become teachers of that if you allow that to come through you. And I would encourage you to share that information somehow, in a video or in a blog or somewhere. Please, others need to hear that they're not alone. And many have been through. We've all been through our own horrific and terrible things. There's not a one of us who has not. No one is alone in that. But when we reframe and understand the process of awakening, we can have a different sense of ourselves, a different awareness of what's happening, and we can learn to love all those parts of us and be grateful for them as the gifts of our awakening. Thank you for joining me here again. This is Deja Bliss, Universal Love Escort, a modern day Dakini, escorting you back to the remembrance of divine love. See you next time.